It was Saturday, September 7th. I just got done coaching my son's football game. Family was gonna go watch my nephew play football. I had a bit of a headache. CU was playing Nebraska and I just wanted to stay home and relax. It wasn't much of a game. CU was getting crushed. It was about halftime when I realized I couldn't quite concentrate. At that same time or shortly after, my arm became dead weight and I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what was going on. I remember thinking to myself, calm down, calm down. Couldn't get into my phone. I couldn't remember my passcode. And finally, once I did get in, I didn't know what I was doing in there and why I was trying to figure it all out. It was just a weird sensation, but knowing that I needed help, but I couldn't articulate how to get there. Even the idea of calling 911, using Siri, using Alexa to figure out how to get help, I couldn't do that. My mind was so foggy, I just couldn't figure it out. So even the idea of getting help, or even if I could tell them what was wrong when it all happened, I don't think I could have done it. It was happening so fast and I didn't know really how to deal with it. Not sure when my wife was coming home. I couldn't figure out how to use the phone. It was tough just waiting, unsure what was gonna happen next and how to go. I just knew that I needed to be ready for when she did come home.
Walked in the door, Domico was waiting at the top of the stairs. He just said, I know something's wrong, we need to go to the hospital, and we left right away. On the way to the hospital, I was able to kind of see more symptoms that he was having. Still this slurred speech, just not really making any sense verbally to me. His right side functions just weren't working properly between his legs, his arm, his hand. But it was partway to the hospital that I was like, I think you might be having a stroke. Given he's young, healthy, we live a very active, healthy lifestyle. Not sure why he would be having a stroke. That just came to mind because my grandma had a stroke. It seems to me like stroke victims are, older, maybe more of an unhealthy lifestyle with smoking, other health history, high blood pressure, and that's just not the case with him.
Got to the hospital. I remember everything. The ER put a stroke alert out. They ordered the CT scan, the medicine for busting the blood clots, and they acted so quickly. And what was crazy is I could listen. I could formulate thoughts, but I couldn't tell them anything. So for the fact that they were even able to kind of read my mind and figure it out for themselves and treat me was awesome, because I don't think I could have told them what was going on.
The fear starts to set in of that unknown, what our future going to look like from here.
Because of the CT scan, they were able to get me to the neurology area. They were able to find out exactly where the artery was collapsed, which was my carotid artery. They were able to put a stent in. Your mind works still while you're having a stroke sometimes. And it was crazy knowing what was going on, again, still just not being able to talk or communicate. Woke up from surgery, knew I was going to ICU. Within hours, I was able to use my arm, get feeling back in my legs, and still couldn't talk, but I could, again, everything was clicking upstairs. I just couldn't say anything until Sunday night. I was able to talk to my twin brother, who was trying to figure out how things were going. And that's when I started to say, I'm getting out of here soon. I've got a goal, getting back to work. And of course, everyone's telling me to slow down. But at that point, I knew that I was on the mend and getting ready to make at least what I thought was a recovery.
So I was there Sunday night when he had talked to his twin brother. His speech was starting to come back, still pretty slurred, broken. But that next morning, he actually called us. I was getting the boys ready for school. He told them what's up. He could form full sentences. Later that day, we were able to get discharged from the hospital. I was able to bring him home. Just a few deficits in his speech, very minimal side effects.
One of my coaches who I work with, he's a pastor, and he said, if this can happen to you, it can happen to me. It's one of the first people that Jamie reached out to as far as trying to spread some good vibes and some prayer. With his help, the community's support, my coworkers' support, it really showed how important community, family, and faith is. And it was awesome. It was a huge outcry for support, and it helped us get through.
To think that we had taken him in Saturday night, and by that following Monday afternoon that he was coming home. Dr. Kim had said we could see a miraculous recovery, and that's what he had. He went from so much unknown to so many positives just overnight.
My family, we live a very healthy lifestyle. The doctors were trying to figure out what happened. They asked if I had fallen, if I had a neck injury or anything like that, because those are things that usually happen when you have a collapsed carotid artery. We started going into family history. My grandfather had several strokes in his 60s and was bedridden. His son passed away from several strokes in his 50s, and his son at 30 passed away from a stroke. So we started to go down the line of genetics, and the doctor mentioned that my carotid artery was kind of looked like the streets of San Francisco, and that's what created some of the issues, and that's why the stent was put in to try and help that. So even if living a healthy lifestyle, just there's things that happen that I can't control that lead to things like this. For me, my reason why is to just provide opportunities that we don't normally have afforded to us. I'm here to help the next generation in my community, to stay involved. And an organization like the American Heart Association gives me that opportunity. So supporting a cause like that, an organization like that, helps me fulfill my why.
He's our rock, so his determination and tenacity was going to get him through it, and it did.
The other part of my why is my family, and I remember sitting there watching my wife try and figure out what was going to happen next. And so I'm young, I've got young kids. Being there for them and being there for my family, I couldn't imagine how they would function without me. And that's what helped just drive me and drive this. So thankful for the opportunity and thankful for AHA.